everyone. Welcome to Mary Elizabeth Jones's Variety Hour.
What variety it is. This is Mary Elizabeth. My name is Kaye Lazar. And now I'm going to do some celebrity imitations. The unknown comic. Also, here's my George Bush imitate, the first George Bush. Read my lips. No new taxes. Let's get this thing off. There's no one around. Hey!
Hey.
Now, wait a minute. It's Mary Elizabeth. I thought I was on the Keith Van Allen show for a moment, or the Vinnie Mac show, or the Gorgeous George show. Now I'm on the. Now I know the show I'm on. So.
That's okay. Everybody, we all make mistakes. Yeah. I love you anyway.
Love you too. Now let me tell you something. I do not know what these. What's the deal on these things? You have a very pretty one there.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
But tell us about that one.
A friend of mine, she made
Hold it up. Hold it up.
a friend of mine made a bunch of these,
Yeah.
and
She made it out of like her curtains or something, like
well, I think it's so,
like a Gone with the Wind.
she got it from she, they're actually
Oh.
fabrics that she purchased or something, and I had to pay her for them because she needed the money to
To pay the rent. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
everyone's aching right now. Now look, it has an accordion look to it.
yeah,
So,
I just kind of like stretch it if I need
Yeah.
like room to.
yes, and then this is it's government issue. Got this from a job I had, and it's white. It's made out of the same material underwear is made out of. You could get 3 of these, but one below the waist, 2 above the waist, and you got a bathing suit.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not. I don't mean to be. Oh, I think. Who's that flying overhead? It's Superman. Anyway, there's a plane just going overhead. By the way, there was a famous baseball player named Dizzy Dean, and he was like from the country. He was like real simpleton, but he was a good pitcher. And they made a movie about him, and he was always on talk shows in the '70s. He was still alive, he was a sports announcer.
Right.
Dizzy Dean, and he played for the St. Louis Cardinals. And at one point, a plane flew overhead, and he stopped the game just to watch the plane go over. Because oh wow, I've never seen a plane before. We don't usually get planes where I'm from. And then what happened was, I think he stopped doing it when someone stole second base.
Right.
Like, I was looking up at the sky. Anyway, so yeah, these I was going to say, I saw an ad for the new Borat movie, and he's actually wearing these as like a bathing suit.
Yeah. What? That's weird. That is
He says,
weird.
"Be sure to." I think that the sign says, "Be sure to wear your PPE."
Yeah. Well, we had PPE as a vest at when I worked at King's Menu last year. So
What was that? I mean, PPE for a vest? How did they do that?
it's like you put ice inside it, like so
Oh
it
yeah,
don't
but it
get.
wasn't for the coronavirus. It was
No,
to
it
keep you
wasn't. It
from
wasn't that. It was
keep you from burning up.
Exactly. I had to wear it under my costume.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Now, what costume? I mean, were you like a gypsy or like a dancing girl? What?
I
What
was
was your?
I was under the Peanuts character
Oh, with a big head and everything.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
what? Who did you usually play?
Even Sally, Snoopy, Linus, or Schroeder.
Played a boy? 2 boys.
Yeah,
Schroeder or Linus?
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Schroeder, everyone's favorite Peanuts character. Who likes Schroeder?
I think Schroeder's adorable. So.
He plays the piano quite well.
Yeah.
I was like Linus.
Linus is cute.
No, but I've always thought Linus was kind of sensible.
Yeah.
The others had their quirks, but Linus seemed to be ground. Although he had the blanket.
Right.
Now that I think about it, he had a problem with the blanket.
Yeah.
But everything else about him was good, and they always tried to get the blanket away from him. But if they would have taken the blanket away from him, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I would think that he would be messed up
Yeah.
as they were. I had a problem years ago. I don't seem to have it anymore with hangnails.
Oh, yeah, I used to
And
have those when I was
but it
younger too.
wasn't hangnails was the what I say they were hangnails. What
Right.
happened was I was a very nervous person,
Oh yeah,
even
yeah.
in my adulthood,
Hmm. I used to do
just
all.
tearing them up and
Oh yeah,
bleeding
yeah,
from
yeah,
the tops. And let me tell you something. A lot of people like were it was a sign of stress.
yeah. Right,
It's a
right.
sign of cutting almost.
Oh
It's
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean people when someone usually teenage girls cut themselves, they
Mhm.
you assume that they obviously have a problem, but
Yeah,
when you have
yeah.
bitten apart uh, cuticles, that people don't realize you also have a problem. It's a little
Right,
more hidden. Now
right.
now what happened was I'm not kidding you. There was I worked with somebody who was really under my skin,
Mhm.
and I eventually left the job, and then saw that person. Uh, saw that person again, and they
Right.
said, "I see you don't bite your fingers anymore. Why couldn't you
Oh,
have done that when you worked for us?" And I said,
what?
"Why do you think I was biting my fingers?
What?
All the
What?
stress I was going under."
What?
And so
Wow.
I
Right.
always consider myself a kind of an easygoing guy and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that if you want to know how I really am, you have to look at my cuticle. Well, Kevin seems to be on top of things. Oh, wait a minute, look at those fingers. Not a good sign. But right now things are looking pretty good. So
Yeah, yeah.
I am swimming again
Oh,
because the things have been
yeah,
relaxed because of the
right,
pandemic,
right, right.
and I'm swimming every
Mm.
day, and this is only in the last week, and I feel like $100.
Yep. You're like $1,000,000 actually.
I've never
Yeah.
seen $1 million.
Right, right.
Actually,
Yeah.
I have seen $1 million. It's in Las Vegas. They have in one of the casinos. They
Right.
actually show just a million $1 bills
Oh,
under a
yeah.
glass,
Right.
and they have a guard in front of it.
Mhm.
And I understand it weighs. If you actually had 100 $1 bills, it would
Right.
a million $1
Yeah.
bills. It would
Right.
weigh something like over 100 pounds.
Right.
So you
Right.
can't just pick it up and take it, walk
Yeah.
out with, get a hernia. You
Yeah.
won't move very fast with it.
Yeah.
So this is the second show we've done in the park.
Mhm.
We're doing a different venue.
Different area
Yeah,
of the
I
park.
think
So
let's.
it's the
There's
same
actually
park, but
the
it's
reason why I picked it is there's a. I guess it's right there somewhere. There's a tree that looks like it's gonna fall. Timber,
timber. Timber.
but it looks. But we're not looking at the tree. We're looking at
Right.
you. We're
Um.
always looking at the pretty women on the show.
It's speaking of this park, it has a lot of history to it. Many, 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 many years ago, it used to have like carnival rides and everything, like a roller coaster
Had a
and
roller coaster.
yeah, and all that other stuff, all that
Now,
good
when
stuff.
was this in the
Like around 1930s, maybe.
Oh, 1930s. Okay, I was just thinking. I
Yeah,
don't remember.
yeah. I'm not really exactly sure what year this park was open,
Hmm.
but I know they had like used to be like a carnival type of thing years ago, back in the
Hmm.
way, way, way back, like
They had,
probably way earlier than 1930s.
they had in the carnivals in the day roller coasters, very simple not the ones like you see in theme parks now.
Right.
Ferris wheels were always popular.
Oh yeah.
Bumper cars was always fun,
Mhm.
and those things still, and merry-go-rounds, of course,
Mhm.
and those things still prevail. You
Yeah.
know, they haven't really changed those. They've never really like every amusement park seems to always have
Right.
something for the your grandmother's favorite ride.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
grandmother's favorite ride.
Yeah.
And the only thing, my mom was very terrified of us going to amusement parks and wanting to go on roller coasters and everything.
Oh yeah.
She thought we were going to, and she would always cut out things out of the Reader's Digest and say, "Look, somebody died on a roller coaster." And I said, "And you are just like that Hellraiser, that rapscallion." And I said, like, and then of course, let me see this. Let me see this nonsense. So I see it, and it said the person was drunk and trying to balance on the top bar, and didn't have, certainly wasn't restrained in there, and tried to jump off or try to, leap up. And I said,
Oh
this person
wow.
is a thrill seeker. I'm not that person. In
Mm.
fact, the last thing I want to do is when I'm in a roller coaster is be 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 freed from
Yeah.
the restraints.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
Harry Houdini. I'm not
Right.
going to dangle on the top of the rope. I was always terrified when I read those. When I see in the paper sometimes or on the news where one of those big roller coasters, there'll
Mm-hmm.
be someone, a car that was upside down stopped
Right.
in the middle, and the
Right.
people are like dangling upside down with their restraints for like
Wow.
all day long until like the fire department comes with a big
Right.
ladder to get them down. It sounds like the most terrifying thing, but
Yeah. Yeah. I
but you don't
remember.
worry about that.
Yeah, I
If you worried about
remember.
that, you'd never get on a roller coaster.
I watched a. I'm not really a big fan of roller coasters.
No.
Anyway, so because I don't like going upside down all that mess. So,
Yeah.
but there's this one video I watched on YouTube years ago. When some people got stuck on the roller coaster, they were like up on the hill,
Yeah.
and they used that. It was a ladder on the side next
Hmm.
to it.
Hmm.
They get down from there
Yeah.
to get back down.
Yeah. Well, I working in places that like the state fair and stuff,
Right.
amusement parks I've worked in,
Yeah.
you get the point
Right.
that they test them out
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah.
They test them at the beginning of the day
Right. Right.
before they even open.
They did that
And
with
there's actually a
Pennsylvania too.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah, there's actually an inspector and if there's anything wrong,
Mhm.
they don't, who cares if the people are complaining,
Right.
Did you want to go up there and fall off and then crash into your fiery death? Yeah, okay,
Right.
I'll take that risk.
Right.
I came here. I drove 50 miles to get here.
Yeah. I remember one time I rode on this ride called the Roundup.
Hmm.
That's a fun ride. You just like stand on it and it like spins around like tilts and everything.
Like the tilt-a-whirl.
It's kind of it's different than that.
Okay.
It's like a wheel.
Yeah.
You stand on the back. You like lean back,
Yeah.
and then the wheel tilts over that way, and then like
And you're still swirling around.
yeah, it's like a magnet. You feel like a magnet.
Oh, and the centrifugal force kind of
Yeah.
keeps you on the wall.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
you actually can lift up your legs and you're like on the wall
Yeah.
until it
Yeah.
slows down a bit.
Yeah. I remember the state fair one year. I was gonna go on it again because it was so much fun, but then it got broke down all of a sudden,
There
and I
you go.
couldn't go on it for the rest of the day, which sucked.
You might
So
have been the last person on there
yeah.
ever on one of those.
Right. Might
You
have
didn't
been.
if
Who
you didn't
knows?
play your cards right. Now
Right.
I
Yeah.
there was something. I mean, they all have crazy names, and a lot of times you go to different parks, they have different names to the same
Right.
thing that I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
I was on something when I was a kid. It was the worst ride. I never went on it again. Usually rides I try and give it a
Right.
second chance.
Right.
This one I definitely did not give a second chance. It was called the Bullet, and it didn't really have a lot of people in it. There was only like four people. There was like two cars that spin, and then they go
Oh.
around, and they're going upside down, and they're spinning. And I'm not
Oh
kidding. You
wow.
are pretty much turned every which way. And the I was with a male friend. I was a
Oh
teenager at
wow.
the time, but
Wow.
the other two guys were we could see them.
Mhm.
They were like face to face, even though there was like a gate or a fence between us when we were
Mhm.
on these things.
Right. Right.
And he threw up. He
Oh
barfed.
no. Yikes.
It just came.
Yuck. 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 Gross.
And I wanted. I mean, luckily I'm not one of the. I don't eat a lot of like bad, terrible
Right.
food, so I didn't.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Sometimes I see these kids just eat all this funnel cake and all this ice cream and all
Yeah.
this stuff I
Yeah.
could never
Right.
eat. And then they go on these rides and then it all. Maybe it's a diet plan. Maybe it's like Jenny Craig or something.
I guess.
You eat anything you want.
Yeah.
They will put you on these roller coaster
Oh
and
man.
you'll lose weight so easily. You won't realize how fast you'll lose weight. But you have to do it all day long.
Yeah.
You have to rent out the amusement park
Wow. Wow.
to get you during the off season. I saw a little video of a movie. It was Spy Kids,
Oh yeah.
and the great
I saw that movie.
the great it was one of the sequels, and it began at an amusement park where the guy who owned the amusement park was played by Bill Paxton.
Oh,
If
I
you
haven't
remember
seen
Bill,
Spy Kids in years though.
and he's like talking about this ride, and this ride
Right,
behind him looks like the most scariest ride. It's just like it's called
right.
the Juggler, and
Wow.
everyone gets these little cars, and then while it's
Oh
going, and you see it all
wow.
behind him while he's just talking like normal,
Oh.
and they're tossing all these balls of the people around, and then like while he's talking, just he knows right, and he's just matter of factly
Right.
opens up an umbrella, and you don't know why he's opened up the umbrella. And then all this barf
Right.
just falls
Right.
on him, and then he just puts the umbrella down and continues the interview.
I remember. There's this. Have you heard of this movie called Problem Child?
Oh yeah,
The second one, I went to see with my uncle and my two cousins.
yeah,
There was a ride called the Crazy Dance that was in that
yeah,
one scene, and then the little girl and the little boy and all that, they
yeah,
were all riding on it. And all of a sudden, the ride went so fast,
yeah.
it was actually getting turned really fast, and then they all barfed. It was like all, they're like barf like all over. It was so
Well,
hilarious.
that the Problem Child movie, both of them. I've been hearing a whole lot
Yeah,
about that movie. The guys who wrote it,
Helen Ritter was in it too.
John Ritter was in it, and uh, and and everyone who's in that movie, including the guys who wrote it, they were
Right.
like told to write it. They wanted
Oh.
to. They actually thought they made the worst movie ever made. I mean, they
Oh.
actually thought, and there's no way this movie's going to make any money. And then there was an ad for it, or a trailer for it in movie theaters, and an ad on television, and it took all the little bits that people do like about the movie and strung it
Wow.
together, and it became like one of the biggest hits that year,
Oh
Problem Child. And it
wow.
is actually a very funny movie. The screenwriters, Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski,
Right.
went on to write a lot of good movies like Ed Wood, and the one about Dolomite is My Name, and they Big Eyes, a lot of Tim Burton films, a lot of Milos Forman films. Oh, the one about Andy Kaufman. They wrote all these good movies,
Oh
and
yeah.
it all started with Problem Child and the sequel, The Problem Child.
Yeah.
Problem Child, yeah, and Gilbert Gottfried's in that.
Oh
If I
yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's very good in it, and Jack Warden is in it, and
Right. Right.
yeah, it's a very funny movie, Problem Child, and yeah, I should get back to that. First time I ever saw, I think Kramer in a movie. He was in that movie as
Uh,
this as this crook that the little boy worships. He's like this serial killer who
oh
escapes from
wow.
jail, and then he
Wow.
takes the little boy on his escapades when he escapes. And I remember in that I saw an interview with the screenwriters, and they said it
Right.
actually is based on a true story, Problem Child, a serious
Oh wow.
story
Really?
where
Oh,
these
I didn't know that.
people adopted this kid, and he
Oh.
was a very bad kid,
Oh.
and like the bad seed.
Oh, I did not know.
I was in the play The Bad Seed.
Right.
I played
Wow.
the grandfather.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
And what happened was, so so, and they read this like news report about this kid, and the adoption agency wouldn't take him back, and the orphanage wouldn't take him back,
Mm.
and the people were stuck with him, and they didn't want him, and all this stuff,
Right.
and they said, I think they saw that thing, and they said, they might make a serious movie about this. And they said,
Right.
wait a minute, let's make a comedy about this,
Right.
and that's where Problem Child came from.
Right.
Now,
Oh, okay.
so how are you getting through this pandemic though, like everyone else?
I take it day by day, you know.
That's basically what you have to do.
I've been dealing with it, you know, like everybody else. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard because you can't do certain things, like go
Can't
to the
go to the
movies.
movies.
Can't go to the movies.
I listen. I love to travel.
Me too. I love traveling.
I've been all over the world.
I want to go to Europe one day in the future.
I Yeah, I'm so happy that I did all that stuff up to now because
Yeah.
if I wanted to start making plans this year, if I wanted to start a new,
Mm,
actually, you
mm,
can start a new leaf this year
right.
because of the situation. But everything I always want to do is travel,
Hmm.
go all over the world.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't. I mean, you can do it, but it's not the same as it
Hmm.
was. you know, a lot of things I don't miss. I don't
Right.
have to eat at restaurants anymore. In fact, I've barely eaten at any restaurants. The only times I've eaten at restaurants is to be with friends of mine, and that's only because my friends were there. They
Yeah.
can't they can't they can't say no when it comes to food. But oh, speaking of food, but I we got some food now. Uh, it's a Halloween week.
Yes, it's
Why don't you
Halloween.
give me a which one are you going to take? The orange or the white cupcake? These are Halloween cupcakes.
Yeah, I kind of like the orange.
Okay, you take the orange and I'll take a white one. And
Okay.
we'll eat the I hate being photographed
Okay.
eating
Chicken.
all right.
There you go. Enjoy it. Look at this. It's a cute little, it's like
It's like
Halloween
ice
themed and
cream.
everything. Yeah, it's like ice cream, but it's like frozen yogurt.
It's
Yeah.
yeah,
If you go to
it's as nutritious
Starbucks, they
as
got
frozen
like
yogurt.
this. Yeah. So isn't it
Okay.
cute? Look at that.
Mm.
There you go.
I'm not a big fan of cake. I like the frosting. So,
I like when cake is homemade.
mm,
You know, like I like it like it's like fresh baked. You know.
mm, that was so, that was so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right on.
To me, I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like muffins,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell you why I don't like muffins. Like just now, I like the. To me, a cake is all about frosting,
Yep.
cupcake, and I don't really care for the cake part. I only did that. I would normally eat the whole thing, but let me tell you something. I don't want to waste food, but I I I don't. Muffins to me are cake with no icing on it. What good is that? What good is that?
Yeah.
Now I have something for you. You
Oh,
brought
for
those.
me.
They well, I mean, it's
Okay.
for you and me.
Okay.
I got this at
I'll see
place.
you at Starbucks.
Well, I didn't get it at Starbucks. I wouldn't go in that overpriced monstrosity. I think like when my friends go to Starbucks, I go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
By the way, you know you could go to Starbucks and they can't kick you out. I understand you can just sit there and all day if you'd like. Some people do with their computers and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They want you to, you know. And I think that's part of their public relations is that if it's raining or you need Wi-Fi or something or you have to use the bathroom, you can go there. But they really want you to drink something or eat
Yeah.
something. So you know, when I go there, I'm usually with somebody and someone takes me. I
Right.
don't think I've ever been to Starbucks by myself. I've always met somebody. But this is called Madeleine.
Oh man, that looks so good.
And what a Madeleine is a type of cake from France, or you know,
Oh,
French
okay.
style piece of cake. And why don't you
Hmm.
take the first one there,
Hmm.
and we'll eat this. It's a rather simple
This is cute.
cake.
Look at this, Chef.
Yeah, it's like a shell.
Ah,
Kind of.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
cute. Look at this.
I'll tell you a little
Mm.
story about it. You know what I'm going to talk about if you know what I'm going to talk about. So this is a Madeleine. Mm. It tastes like a shortbread cookie that was left out in the rain. It's kind of moist, like a Twinkie,
Yeah, it looks kind of like a
but
Twinkie. Like
it's
has a
not
bit
as
of a
soft
sweet
as
filling.
it's not a sponge cake.
Yeah.
It's kind of sweet. You
Mm.
know, there's no like I said, there's no frosting on it. So
You could actually dip this in coffee too.
I think that's probably the what people do. I, actually, I prefer this than biscotti. To me, a biscotti is just a it's just a stale cookie. You know, croutons. People talk about, oh, I love croutons in my salad.
Mm.
I love croutons is stale crust on your bread. That's all it is. If you were to eat stale crust, you wouldn't like it. But you put it in a salad, oh, it tastes great. So, hmm. Now, this is famous in French literature. You know what I'm going to say? There's a famous writer named Marcel Proust,
Mm-hmm.
and he's my favorite writer.
Oh wow.
And Marcel Proust wrote, I think it's 3,000 or 6,000 pages. I think 3,000. He wrote his autobiography, and it was 3,000 pages long
Mm-hmm.
in several sections. The one I read was called Swan's Way,
Mm-hmm.
and then they've made a few movies,
Mm-hmm.
Swan in Love, one with Jeremy Irons, and it's about a Jewish guy living amongst the aristocracy in France in the, I
Mm.
guess, the turn of the 20th century, and um, and the first like 50 pages,
Oh wow.
he's like an adult, and he takes a bite of the
Mm.
Madeleine, which we have the
Okay.
Madeleine, what we're
Mm-hmm.
eating now, and this it opens up a whole his whole life. 3,000 pages later, he comes right back to him eating the Madeleine. And in other words, in other words, he remembers eating a Madeleine as like in his crib. You know,
Mm.
Marcel Proust was quite the guy. He was gay, and he was Jewish, and he was from aristocratic family. He was not all that well. He wasn't all that well. Uh, he felt like an outsider in the French aristocracy, but he was rich and everything because he came from a rich family. And even though he wrote this 3,000-page
Right.
autobiography, the
Right.
only thing he did of note in his whole life
Oh wow.
was write this 3,000-page autobiography.
Mm.
It's called Remembrance of Things Past.
Oh
I
wow.
forgot to tell you what it's called. It has a
Mm-hmm.
French title, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't. It's just from a line from a phrase from Shakespeare.
Right.
Remembrance of Things Past, and I encourage people to read at least some of it because
Mm-hmm.
it's very it's like the greatest. I'm surprised people haven't read more of it during this pandemic, because now you have all this time to read all those books you wanted to read,
Yeah.
watch those long miniseries,
Right.
take
Right.
up hobbies,
Yeah.
learn to play the
Hobbies, you know.
guitar, learn to paint.
Yeah, exactly. You
They had a
know.
funny skit last week on
Right.
Saturday Night Live where
Oh, I love Saturday Night
yeah,
Live.
where they oh yeah, what happened was eBay and Amazon and all these places were coming to reclaim the stuff you bought early in the pandemic. Oh, here's my bread maker. I never got around because I was too busy watching
Oh
Netflix
man.
to learn how
Oh
to make
man.
bread or learn a new language or learn how to play an
Oh
instrument
man.
or learn how to
There's a lot of episodes that I've seen that are really funny that I tell you about Saturday Night
yeah.
Live. There's this one. Remember that
I've
show
seen
called
every episode.
Soul Train?
Oh yeah.
They had a spoof about it.
Yeah.
It said it said they said the worst of Soul Train
The
instead
worst,
of best of Soul
the
Train.
worst of soul.
Yeah, have you seen that one?
Well, tell me about it.
Okay, when
I've seen. We're talking over 45 years
this is like
of shows.
this is like one of the newer episodes
Okay.
with the newer cast.
Hmm.
But I think it was like a few years ago when I discovered that episode. It was hilarious.
Who was
They
on it?
had like Jim Carrey was on it.
Oh, okay.
Who
He was the
else?
guest host that night.
I
Yeah.
think that was about all I know. You know, that was in the episode, but it was hilarious.
Mike Myers on it.
No, he went on that one.
Phil Hartman. I always thought was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
I liked. In fact, I like Saturday Night Live so much
Mm,
that if
me too.
anyone from Saturday Night Live, one of the old people that started on Saturday Night Live,
Yeah.
come to town,
Yeah.
sometimes as stand-up comedians
Oh
or in
yeah.
a
Yeah.
play,
Yeah.
I want to go see it
Yeah.
because I really am fascinated with Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, so we have people who watch these shows, and
Mm,
they'll comment on me, and or you or other people I've
right.
been on
Right.
TV shows with,
Yeah.
and one time, a lot of times they try to insult you, but every once in a while their insults are
Oh.
kind of
Yeah.
are backhanded insults. They're not as
Mm,
bad as you think. And one was that guy isn't that guy, the best that guy could ever hope for is to host Saturday
right.
Night Live. And I said, wow, that's pretty that's pretty impressive. I'd love to
There's
do that.
there's also
That'd be the highlight of my life.
there's also another episode
Olive Garden,
it's
yeah,
actually a newer episode as well.
yeah.
that they were they were making a Olive Garden commercial or
Yeah.
a spoof. They the director wanted certain ones to make faces about how good the food is and all. That was hilarious too.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would have to show
Or
all those
they weren't
videos.
showing enough enthusiasm about the
Yeah, something like
all you can
that.
eat
Something like
breadsticks
that.
or
Something
something.
like that. Yeah, I would have to show those two episodes to you. That was my
I used to joke that there's a every time I go to New York City,
favorite. Right.
there's a Italian restaurant I always have to go to, and they said, what is it? I said Olive Garden. Yeah. And what else? So yeah, I've been I try to keep up with Saturday Night Live. It's
Yeah.
I always feel that there's always something good to watch on it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I can watch and I don't really watch it live anymore. Believe it or not, I still have a VCR
Yeah.
and I tape the show. And there's a lot you could zip. There's a lot of commercials, sadly, and then maybe the musical. Usually, I try to watch the first 30 seconds of the musical guest and then zip. I don't want to see any more of it. And
Yeah.
then yeah, but
Right.
I just like the jokes, the funny
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah. I mean, I like there's certain episodes that are actually my favorite.
Well, when you do a show for so long, they're not all gonna be bullseyes.
Right.
That's why I do so many shows. I have
Yeah.
your show. I
Yes.
have the Gorgeous George show. I have
Mm.
the Keith
Keith
Van
Van Allen
Allen's Attic show. I have
and Vincent.
and Vinnie Mac's show. And yeah, and so I was just counting. Just since the pandemic started, I can't
Right.
really perform live
Right. I
like I
mean,
used to in the theater. I
yeah.
mean, I hope that'll come back.
Yeah.
But I just counted something like I've done like 30 shows.
Mm.
30 and they're all about an hour each. So there's 30 hours of product
Right.
I have cranked out
Oh
in the
wow.
last 4 or 5 months.
Right.
You could actually watch or listen. I don't
Yeah.
expect anyone to watch
Yeah.
these shows.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, you don't have to watch them. You could just play them, while you're, because I don't, other than a few visual ticks, I don't really, I think it's more of a verbal and show
Right.
we do.
Right.
But you could actually listen back to back over a day, just hear me. Rah, 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 rah. Well, you see, when I was a kid,
Oh
I,
yeah.
if you want to know what I was like as a little kid,
Mhm.
Mary, I was my name was always on the blackboard for talking.
Well, yeah.
I was always being sent to the principal's office for talking.
What?
I was always disrupting the class because I couldn't shut up. They wanted me to sit in my chair, in my desk. I was always at the front because because I like being in the front. I always felt when you're in the front, you have
Yeah.
you're there, you're in the thick of it.
I think I was kind of the same way when I was a kid. Like I used to love to talk.
Were you ever in trouble? Did they send notes
Oh,
home to your
sometimes, yeah,
parents?
sometimes.
Yeah, I was constantly having notes sent to home, and
Oh
my name
yeah.
was always on the board. And let me tell you something. Guess what? They
But
as much as they tried to stifle it, as much as they tried to
yeah.
hold me
Right.
down
Right.
and said, we want you to conform like everybody else. Well, I'm happy to announce at my age, as I am now, it was the most fruitless endeavor ever undertaken by school teachers, thinking that they could ever shut me up.
I remember some of them used to embarrass me in front of class.
Mm,
Like I was in math class when I was in seventh grade
yeah.
because I was having trouble with my math anyway because I'm not that good at math. So.
Mm.
Anyway, all
And
the
what they
class,
do?
every single classmate, they were actually like they were screaming at me, like they were like, Mary, like that was pretty embarrassing.
Well, yeah, it would be to
Like,
humiliate someone like that,
I
especially a
mean,
kid.
yeah, I mean,
Kid has no
I
recourse.
was in seventh grade then, and I was having trouble with my math,
That's a terrible time.
and
It's the
all this,
13 years old. Yeah.
yeah, and all of my classmates, I don't know if they liked me or not, which I don't really care now, but
Yeah, you know.
but I was really embarrassed when they were all just shouting in my name, like
There. Well, because you were. you're going at it too slow and they wanted to move on.
Something like that,
What
I
were these
guess.
like mathletes or something? Were these like
I
kids in
guess
the
I don't
because
know.
I was a very bright kid when it came to math, but I
Yeah.
never felt like in fact I liked the kids way behind me
Right.
because
Right.
because just pushed me out in front. I mean, I didn't try
See.
to move them
Yeah.
to the I mean, I've tried to
Yeah.
help them, you know.
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't want to humiliate anybody.
Yeah. See, I
In
grew up
fact,
with.
it was nothing, a lot of schooling is a lot of humiliation. Stuff,
Right.
you know, that
Mhm.
sadly prepares you for adulthood because when
See.
you're an adult, they're constant. It's, you don't get, I have more victories and good times since I got out of school than
Right.
before. Before school is just frustration, dealing with other
Yeah.
people,
Right.
dealing with humiliate. I mean, like I was talking, I think once before about gym class, and
Mm.
I was not very athletic. I was one of the smaller kids, so
Yeah.
so I mean, I always picked last, and
Mm.
that was just, I mean. I don't know if they've ever changed it because they seem to be against bullying now, but
Yeah.
it was this constant humiliation
Right.
every day.
See.
I didn't have, you know, they always say, well, you don't have any self-esteem and all this stuff. Yeah, not when you're when
See.
you're twisting the knife like this.
Okay. See. I grew up with a learning disability,
Oh, okay.
and I think that's why I wasn't
Mm,
good at math because
mm,
you know, you know, I don't know if you knew this, but you probably already known already. But I grew up with a learning disability,
yeah.
and I've grown out of it. Even though I've grown out of it, some, but it haunted me through the years.
Yes.
I
Well,
grew,
what you learn as a kid,
yeah,
you know, you even when
right,
you get over stuff, you remember how it used to be, and it
right,
just sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night worrying about it. Yeah.
right, right, right.
Bad dreams. I had a
Yeah.
bad dream just the other night about a lot of my dreams are going into classes and
Mhm.
not doing my homework.
Right.
And then I wake up and say, what did I worry about going to school? I'm a grown up. I'm a grown up man.
Right, exactly.
I don't have to worry about doing my
Exactly,
homework
right,
anymore.
right. Mhm.
But in the thing, and oh man, I could tell you some crazy stuff. I had a teacher, this really terrible teacher. She was, I think it was in fourth grade, and
Mm.
I hope she's dead. She gave me a four in, I think one was the best, five was the worst. Most kids they got a three. That was not, that
Right.
was, yeah. I actually got a four in conduct. My mother came and said, "Why did he get a four in conduct?" And I said, "Well, for one
Mm.
thing, we can't read his writing, his
Mhm.
cursive writing. He has."
Right.
And she went on and on for like 20 minutes. And she actually, I think I said this before, she actually said to my
Right.
mom, "How many brats do you have?"
I remember my mom
Yeah.
used to have meetings with my teachers all the
Oh,
time,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they used to have since I had a learning disability
Mhm.
growing up, they used to have IEP meetings every year,
Mhm.
and my mom would actually attend those,
Mhm.
and all the teachers, would tell my mom how I was doing and everything else.
Mhm.
So, one time they said um, that I needed to work on some things, and all that.
Mhm.
But
And you worked on them.
exactly.
And look at you now,
I'm more
ahead of the
strong.
game.
I'm more strong. Made me stronger. See, it made me stronger. So,
You
you
want to know
know,
something? I would have been just as strong as I am now without going through that constant
exactly,
humiliation. So anyway,
right.
my mom started to wonder if this teacher actually had a life, going on about my penmanship. Who cares?
Uh,
Who cares? Then I years later, I think I told the story. I saw I met George Will, the great thinker that you see on
right,
the news all the time,
right, right,
and writes about government and baseball and history and stuff.
right.
And I got his autograph, and you could barely read it. Oh, smartest man I ever met. You can't read his that kind of doctors. You can't read their handwriting either. You still can't read my handwriting. But I will never print.
Oh,
People print now. They don't even learn cursive in
oh
school.
wow.
Another thing, I had a teacher that was a yeah. I got this awful. Like I said, I got this four in conduct, and a lot of it, like I said earlier, was talking in class, just
Right.
constantly just running my mouth all the time,
Yeah.
telling jokes, doing imitations,
Um,
imitating the teacher when she was out of the room.
right. Yeah. One time, my grandfather told me a story about when my uncle was in school. I think he was
Yeah.
like in fourth grade. And you know those grade school pictures where like the whole class was pictured.
Oh, in the group picture,
Yes,
the group photo.
yes.
Yeah.
And my grandfather showed me his teacher that he had,
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then. And he pointed her out. And he was like, "This was a teacher that was concerned about your Uncle Rodney because she thought that he had bad hygiene or something. They had
Mm.
long hair back in the 70s,
Hmm.
like, the boys,
Yeah.
young boys had like those long wavy
Yeah.
hair back in the 70s. It was like mid 70s. It was like 1974
Hmm.
or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But my grandfather told me that she said
His brother,
my mom's brother.
your mom's brother.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a son, of
Yeah,
course.
okay.
It was my uncle. And my grandfather told me that the teacher wrote them a letter saying they needed to take care of his hygiene, which
Give him a bath.
yeah, yeah. Then my grandfather was like, your grandmother called the school, telling the teacher she was giving the teacher heck. She was like, none of your concern how we treat our son. you know.
Well, I tell you what probably happened. Where it probably started. There's probably a kid that was trying to get, 'cause I used to see a lot of dirty kids when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
But then I saw kids that were overly like they're almost like Felix from The Odd Couple. They were
uh,
just too clean. And I remember one of my I have a lot of sisters. One of my sisters
mm-hmm.
was like obsessed with washing her hair, and she had to have
Oh,
like really expensive uh, uh, shampoo
oh yeah.
or Clairol herbal essence or something,
Right, the herbal essence. Oh
or the
yeah.
body on tap or whatever was the fancy
Oh
stuff in the day.
yeah.
So she would wash her hair before she went to bed,
Hmm.
and then she'd go to bed with the hair dryer,
Oh
and then the
wow.
next day in the morning she would tie up the bathroom. We're all wanting to
Oh
get to school,
wow. Wow.
washing her hair again and blow
Mm.
drying it and everything.
Mm.
And so I said I was talking to with my
Right.
male friends in
Right.
school. I must have been in high school at this time. And I said, you won't believe what my sister does. She washes her hair before she goes to bed, wakes up the next morning, washes it again. And they
Uh.
all just looked at me and said, you don't do that? What type of
uh.
pig are you? I said, yeah, I wash my hair probably every 2 or 3 days,
Oh wow.
because believe it or not, it's still here.
I remember.
But they were just, to them,
Yeah.
they all had like, their hair looked pretty much like Gene Wilder,
Yeah.
like Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
So did mine, but
Yeah. I
I
know it
didn't,
was
I
kind
didn't,
of.
I didn't waste all that
I know it was
expensive
fresh for
shampoo.
me to talk about it, but I just wanted to, since we're talking about school anyway, might as well just kind of bring it up because of the teachers and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the teachers, I don't think I had any problem with the teachers that but it didn't happen whenever I was in school. But I heard like maybe when I was in sixth grade,
Yes.
in first grade,
Mhm.
they had to close the first grade because all the kids had lice or something.
Well, yeah, that happened to me when I was at school
Well, it
too.
happens a lot, but luckily when I was in first grade, it didn't get that far. I'm
Right.
sure there was filthy kids there.
Right. I mean,
Kids who never took a bath.
I never had bad hygiene. I always had clean
Well,
hygiene.
that's good.
Some people,
And,
might have thought
my
different.
mom used to always tell me, "Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash
Yeah,
your." And then she was right because now we're washing our hands all the time,
Ah!
brushing our teeth.
I remember my mom used to tell me about brushing my teeth,
Well, yeah,
everything.
well, that's what parents do.
Yeah, like
Let me
do my
tell
homework and all
my
that
mom,
stuff.
my mom and dad. I think I told my mom like no fun. They have no, lack the fun gene.
Yes.
All my friends had like, go karts and mini bikes and BB guns and all that stuff, and my mom wouldn't. And I said, my mom is like such a so. Anyway, what happened was, I I'm hanging around these kids with motorcycles, and they all had. I mean, they actually had motorcycles,
Mm.
Hondas and Yamahas, and
Ah.
then what was the other one? Harley Davidson and stuff. They were all like, look at my motorcycle. My divorced father got me this. My mother bought me this because of my father wouldn't let me have one. And I just go there. And I just, yeah. And they said, "Where's your motorcycle?" And I said, "I don't have a motorcycle." I said, "Do you have a mini bike?" I said, "No, I don't have a mini bike." He goes, "Why don't you have one?" And I said, "Well," I said, "My mom wouldn't let me have one, and she wouldn't buy me one." And when you're like 16 years old,
some people
so
kind of brag about things sometimes.
well, that's of course they brag about it. That's the whole point of having something
Right,
is to
exactly.
show it off to everybody.
Something
So what happened was, and I've never forgotten this. The oldest kid was like 19, and I was going on about how terrible, how my mother is doesn't let me have any fun at all. My mother thinks that I'm just going to become a crook when I grow up and all this stuff if I do all this bad stuff. And that's why she always wants me to know where I am at all times. She won't let me go out, late at night like my friends and all this. And this 19-year-old guy, he was the oldest guy, and of course all my friends say, yeah. What's the matter with your family? Your family run a haunted house or something? So anyway, the 19-year-old guy came and said, "Hey, enough of this talk about Kevin's mom." I said, "What do you mean?" Said, "My mom doesn't give a damn where I am, what I do. She's more busy. She's more worried about the bottom of her bottle to make sure that there's still beer in it than worrying about me." And he actually made it very clear to me. He said, "Listen, Kevin, your job is to push the envelope, go out, hang out with guys with motorcycles, hang out with guys with BB guns, have fun, do what you can, not tell your parents, all that stuff. But your mom's job is the, I mean, this is, and her job is more important than your job. Her job is to keep you safe and be worried about you all the time."
My mom was very protective of me when I was young.
Well, that's what I mean. And then I started got a bigger appreciation from my mom. My mom's not doing this because my mom is not keeping me under her thumb because I said so. It's because she sincerely was worried that I would get in any danger or get in any or get in the or flock with the wrong feather or something. So then I said so, and then a lot of times these kids that actually do are run wild when they finally get married and have children, they become more protective because they saw how all the troubles they got. They know what it's how they know all the rules or how to skirt the rules. So when their kids try it when they're teenagers, they say, "Oh no, I tried that when I was a kid, trying to put a bunch of pillows under the covers and then go out the window and then not come home until 3 or 4 in the morning, then go to school the next day like nothing happened." So don't play those tricks with me because I won't do that. So yeah, so I had a greater appreciation for my mom and my father, and I turned out pretty grew up pretty sad. Other than a few times in my life run-ins with the law. I didn't even I never even I never even had to stay after school. I became more of a crook after college than before. All the speeding tickets.
Right.
I mean, I used to do crazy stuff, start fires. I mean, all the stuff kids do.
Yeah.
Ride bikes, ride bikes down on the highway, on the curb and stuff. And then the curb would get. Sometimes you were and the curb would get higher and higher. Sometimes it would get really high, and then you say, "Oh, I gotta get on the grass," because you're afraid you're gonna go onto the. I mean, sometimes you're on top of a big wall, especially on a highway or something. I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, but I came from a generation where we still rode bikes, and we still and sledding was big, and in the wintertime and stuff. So yeah, so I'm happy that now but I'm not much. Now I'm not as reckless as I used to be. My mom, let me tell you about my mom. My mom was a nurse, and she was a nurse getting back to what I was saying about riding motorcycle and everything, um, she would lecture me on all this stuff. And she was a nurse sadly, during the early 1980s, during
Right.
the AIDS.
Yeah.
And we, just like the pandemic now, we didn't know a whole lot about how you got AIDS. We
Right.
knew the type of people who got it, you know, the
Wow.
hemophiliacs and Haitians and gay
Wow.
people, and I
Wow.
mean, they just
Wow.
happened to be the people that were struck with it at
Wow.
first. Eventually, everyone was everyone was vulnerable.
Yeah.
But what happened was, uh, my mom, because she was taking care of AIDS patients all the time, this happened, I think, twice. She got stuck with a needle
Oh,
after taking
wow.
it out, and which it happens to nurses all the time. But
Ooh.
these days, they kind of proved that a few people, especially healthcare workers, did catch AIDS that way. And at that time, if you
Wow.
caught AIDS, there was no medicines for you or anything.
Yeah.
Everyone, they all died. And so I mean, the worst I ever went through in my life
Right.
with my
Right.
mom in those days was, you know,
Mhm.
all these tests and everything. And my mom is the type of person that if she got the test, she probably wouldn't tell anybody. She'd
Yeah.
probably, keep working and stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
mom's like Brett Favre, wanted to play one more game. So
Yeah. Yeah.
after retirement. So anyway, but then once I just got so frustrated, sometimes you have to get these things out. She goes,
Right. Exactly.
"You tell me that I'm such a thrill seeker, such a hellraiser with the roller coasters and the motorcycles and the and the skateboards and the roller skates and all this stuff. And then
Mm.
you do something like I was
Right.
not very
Right.
nice about these very sad, sick people, but I said,
Right.
you take care of these very sick, contagious people, and then get yourself infected and probably die and leave us all orphans. And I'm the thrill seeker. I'm the you're the one you're like the evil Knievel of nurses.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
the daredevil.
Oh man.
So but happily, she
Right.
didn't
Right.
get it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's so happy whenever anyone doesn't get a disease. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think everyone should live forever.
Exactly. I mean, it would be
No,
nice, but
everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. To get there
exactly.
is the old story.
Yeah.
Now, what was I gonna say? We met. I say this every week. We met uh, in a play, or doing a play, The Phantom of the Opera,
Hmm.
and I didn't play. I just play a small part in it.
Yeah.
And you were one of the dancers in it, and I do a dance with you. A lot of those pictures on the
Yes.
internet.
Yes.
And I remember we had this Phantom con, and
Oh
I bought
yeah.
this. There's a mask from the if you maybe I should say.
Mhm.
This is what the mask looks like that in the Phantom of the Opera. Now, um, he was ahead of his time wearing a mask. I think if they remade the Phantom of the Opera, it would all be
Yeah.
he just whip off this mask.
Mm.
You know, a friend of mine told me about wearing the mask.
Uh-huh.
He says he saved money on toothpicks
Just
and on
like saving money
and
on
those
car insurance.
and those things that make your teeth turn white, those
Right.
strips.
Oh yeah, the little thingamajigger things. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
says, no, yeah, I don't need those anymore. No one sees them. I'm
Right.
wearing a mask all the time.
Right. Right.
Wrinkle cream. You save money on.
Ah.
I tell you what, I spend more money on now. Now, what happens is if you spend all day at work with this on, you know, after a while you start to breathe your own breath.
And your glasses fall
That's why you
too.
have to brush your teeth more than ever. We're getting the nicest, shiniest teeth that no one
Right.
sees because we're wearing a mask. But
Exactly.
but but toothpaste only lasts but so long.
Right.
So now I'm drinking, almost drinking it like I should get a keg of mouthwash. Just pour a little, swirl it around. Like a lot of people don't wear a mask at home, and I'm going out to my car, and and then I actually usually I have a mouthful of mouthwash in my mouth, and I'm walking down out the door and down the steps, and then
Right.
before I get to my car I spit out the mouthwash. And nobody has
Mm.
said anything yet, but I'm prepared that if
Oh.
anyone says anything,
Mm.
hey, I don't want you spitting out your sputum and during this pandemic. I say, hey, it's mouthwash. It's probably killed everything that's in here. You can't even drink mouthwash. You know. been trying all these things like mouthwash and uh, I know a person who's actually drinking gin and tonics.
Ew.
Tonic is tonic water has quinine in it, and it prevents
Um,
malaria.
oh, yeah.
Quinine, I think, I'm not sure, but that thing that the president drinks that kept him from getting
Right.
um, coronavirus for a while.
Exactly.
Oh, by
Yeah.
the way, before we finish, what are you doing Halloween and Election Day, which is next week?
Um,
Have you voted yet, or
I haven't really voted yet, but
you going to go to the poll that day and vote?
yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
probably what I'll probably going to be doing, I
Yeah,
guess.
I already voted.
But I'm
That's
already
good.
registered to vote, so that's good.
Yeah, but there'll be a long line.
Yeah,
I mean, a really long
whatever.
line. You
Oh,
know why there's
whatever.
going to be a long line? Everyone's voting.
Ah,
I don't know.
yeah, of
There's going to be
course.
like in Russia where they have like, they have elections in these dictatorships, like
Right,
and they say,
right.
look, 100% of the people voted, and they all voted for Putin. How did that? So elections,
Yeah,
on the surface aren't always up and up. They're
right,
when one dictator runs and everyone votes and he gets 100% of the vote,
right,
does that make any
right.
sense? No. The other thing,
Yeah.
and a Halloween, I'm sorry to say, I don't think I'll be dressed up in a costume this year because I don't know where to go. I don't know. I'd like to go to people's houses and
Oh,
stuff.
I know what I can do. I
Yeah.
know I could. I'll probably dress up anyway,
Hmm.
because I always dress up every year anyway, so
Hmm.
it's not gonna stop me from
I'll
something.
probably uh, dress up somehow, something not extravagant like I used to, and
Yeah,
still be at my uh, house handing out candy to the children because I always like doing that.
and you could come see me
Oh, I can
after.
see you. Yeah, I can see you
I can
there.
give you some candy.
Give me some candy. And
Yeah.
I want candy. So anyway,
Oh,
so
candy.
but it's not like for one thing,
Yeah.
they want people. There's a parade, a Halloween parade every year in
Oh,
downtown,
yeah.
and they want people to wear their costumes
Mhm.
and wear a mask over their mouth.
Mhm.
So I said, Laddie, that's unless you're going as a in a burqa or something, or playing a guy robbing a stagecoach or something. That's not. It's gonna. It doesn't work with your costume.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like wearing a nice costume and then having to wear a mask over my face.
Well, I
I
mean,
tell you what I didn't like, and I'll mention my mom again. Mom's always worried about you. She um she when I was like a little kid, when I was a little kid, and this happened at school too, but it certainly happened in Halloween. It'd be like a damp night or a rainy night or a cold night,
yeah.
and I'd be wearing my costume thinking I looked really cool. And then she would make me put a coat on over my costume to go trick or treating.
Yeah, I think you told me that a while ago.
Well, I'm telling you now. I'm not telling you, I'm telling them. So what happened was I was wearing I would wear a jacket on as soon as I got walked out the door I just threw that in the bushes. Sometimes I lost it completely. And what happened was I took pride in dressing up in a nice costume. And to put a coat over it or a mask over it is, you know, uh, defeats the purpose. Now, so my mom said, "Well, why didn't you wear your coat? Don't you want to be comfortable while you trick or treat?" I said, "No, I don't want to be comfortable. I want to look my best." Looking your best and being comfortable is not always the same thing. Why do you think women wear like these fancy high heel shoes? They're not comfortable, but they look good in them. So, or they think they look good in them, so they wear. That's why I wear a suit every time I do your show because I
Yeah.
want to. This is not comfortable. I could take my shirt off
Right,
and be Mr.
right.
Muscle Man, but I
Exactly.
don't do that because I don't want to be comfortable. I want actually in a way looking your best is being comfortable enough. But it's all up in the air. Halloween. Somebody mentioned last week on the news on some show that Halloween is an individual thing.
Mhm.
You're it's not a family thing. In fact, the
Right.
last thing you want is your family when you're trick or treating. You want to be with your friends, all wear costumes.
Yeah, yeah.
And even if you're not with your friends, you got all the candy.
Right.
That's sometimes your
Exactly.
friends slow me down, slow them. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, you're tired? You want to go home? You don't have enough candy? I barely got in the bottom of my bag finished. I gotta go. I gotta go everywhere. get all the candy I can. And so then then after Halloween, then we have Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they're all pretty much. You want your family? There they are. Go get them. Especially Thanksgiving. All the fights, all the arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah. What one last thing about voting in the election. Vote for whoever you think is best. However, I have to tell you a little bit about Trump compared to Biden, and something against Trump. Um, this is one thing, and one thing I have to tell you is that this pandemic is not going away. Still wear your mask, wash your hands, all that stuff. He tells you you don't have to do all that stuff. He got the coronavirus. Everyone in the White House close to him got it. Now I think the vice president's inner circle got it. Um, these guys know nothing about telling you how to keep from getting it because they got it. And if they don't care about themselves and and the people they work with, then they don't give a damn about you. So go so be vigilant and they're relaxing over the months, a lot of the
Right.
restrictions are. I'm
Right.
still wearing a mask when I
Me
go
too.
outside. When I'm a few times I've been in a restaurant, I've except to fill my pie hole, I've worn the
right.
mask the whole time because
Right.
I don't, I'm not going to risk that.
Yeah.
I want to be healthy. I love being healthy. I don't like being sick.
Me either. I love being
Some
healthy
people
too.
like being home from work or home from. I like
Right.
being home from school.
Right. Yeah.
Watch The Price is Right.
Right.
Anyone I joke, anyone who watches The Price is Right, they
Yeah.
they should be going to
I
work.
used to watch that when I was a kid.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you have nothing better to do.
And my mom would watch the end of the wrestles. I was sit there and watch it with her.
When you when people say, "How come you don't watch soap operas?" I mean, I've never watched soap operas, and I always said, "Well, I've seen better people than me succumb to the draw of soap operas, and I." And if these football players and tough guys could watch soap operas, I certainly could fall into that trap. So I, I steer clear of
Right.
all the.
Right.
I like comedies more than
Yeah.
anything. That's
Yeah.
what I.
Comedies. Yeah.
Saturday Night Live is what I like and stuff.
Yeah. I used to watch soap operas years ago
Yeah,
when I was young because
yeah.
my grandfather watched them and my mom watched them and my grandmother watched them. So.
They soap operas are the never-ending story.
Right.
There's
It's
no
a
end in sight. They're like what do you call it? Scheherazade,
yeah.
1001 Arabian Nights.
Like
They just keep telling you, and they'll leave on a cliffhanger every
it's
show.
like a suspense. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
that's why I stopped watching Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most
Oh
Wanted because
yeah.
those stories get you going, and then right at the end they say, "And we never found out what happened."
Oh yeah. I
It's
used to
up to
watch that
you
too.
to
Yeah.
find out. Yes.
Right.
So have a happy Halloween. Thank you.
yes.
What delicious,
Mm.
pastries and
Oh, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
desserts we've been eating
Yeah.
today.
I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
So
So same here. So anyway, um, you have what else do you have to say?
I just wanted to tell you all that thank you for tuning in, and we hope you have a wonderful evening, and may God bless you all.
This is the Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour, and my name is Kaye Lazar. We wish you a very happy rest of the week.